Hello, I'm Sami Wannes.
And hello, I am Lamia Jmini.
So today we have the pleasure to talk to you about the use of live quizzes to enhance the learning experience in psychiatry. So this is the second presentation of a series of presentations about the use of modern technology in enhancing the learning experience in psychiatry. In the previous presentation, we also talked together about different tools that one might use to enhance the learning experience in psychiatry, mainly tools based on modern technology. In this presentation, we are going to focus on live quizzes.
All right. So we have no conflicts of interest to declare. And now we are going to start by introducing this presentation. So, as we all know, effective learning requires a certain level of motivation and emotions in the attendees, which is really challenging sometimes when we are using traditional learning methods such as PowerPoint. Indeed, it's not uncommon for attendees to feel bored, which negatively impacts their attention span and reduces the overall quality of the learning experience. And it's not either uncommon to see this kind of pictures during a big audience of participants falling asleep on their desk. So, hopefully, thanks to recent advances in IT, live quizzes are now easier to implement than ever and no longer require any special equipment. So participants can simply use either their smartphones, tablets, or laptops. And also, there are multiple free webs and application-based free solutions that can be used by the teacher or the presenter.
So gone are the days during which we actually needed special equipment to run these live quizzes. Now it's easier than ever. And these live quizzes will really help not only in summative assessment to assign a grade or a rank, so they are increasingly useful for formative assessment as well. So they can be used for formative assessment, and even more beyond assessment, these live quizzes can be an integral part of the teaching experience and of the learning experience. So when we are talking about learning, we also talk about long-term memory. And so we need to encode information into this long-term memory. We need to retrieve information from this long-term memory. So live quizzes will help encode information into long-term memory, will help retrieve information, will also help consolidate and reconsolidate information into the long-term memory.
All right. And benefits are many using those quizzes. So learners not only retain the information better just from the effect of testing itself, but they are also able to identify areas of weakness and become accustomed to the exam timing and question format. Additionally to this, quizzes have been shown to improve performance on summative assessments. Then, moving to teachers, they will be able to assess the efficacy of the curriculum and their instruction methods, as well as identify learners who may be struggling or at risk for failure, and therefore they will be able to implement early intervention. And of course, quizzes lead to interactive audience and satisfied presenters during public performances, such, for example, here in this big congress, such as the WP. And that's also why we integrated this year 2 new innovative quiz sessions in the WPA, and we highly encourage you to attend them so you can experience by yourself the effectiveness of learning while having fun. So as we said before, the idea of this presentation came from previous experiences in using live quizzes in educational activities. And we delivered these activities mainly to young psychiatrists, young residents and child psychiatrists, and also to early career psychiatrists from all over the world. Most notably, we used these methods in plenary sessions during the first scientific meeting of psychiatrists and young psychiatrists and child psychiatrists in Tunisia. And we also implemented it in the early career psychiatrists international meeting that happened last 2 summers ago in Tunisia as well. And the feedback of all participants was highly positive.
I do remember one of the participants that came to me just following the quiz session in the last World ECP Early Career Psychiatrist Conference, telling me this was really the session during which I had the most fun, and this also was the session from which I learned the most. Here we are going to show you how to create a quiz using Kahoot. However, there are other solutions here, Slido quizzes. So all of these solutions that we are talking about here have free versions. So there are also paid versions of each of these solutions. There are also other paid software options as well. But we are just going to show you now, so on Kahoot. And steps are pretty similar for other software as well. So as you can see here, so here is a quiz from the 3rd Congress of Early Career Psychiatrists in December 2019 in Tunisia. So as you can see here, so there are different questions for this quiz. So we have 10 questions here. And if you can see here, so for each question, so we can have 4 different answers, and the participant or the team can choose one of these answers. As you can see here, for some of these, we have even videos here. So here there's a video, and then for clinical science, for example, we can use videos to demonstrate these signs. We can use, of course, also photos. It's easy, or plain text. Okay, how to create a quiz? So you have to go to Kahoot.com. So Kahoot has 2 different websites or interfaces. So you can go to Kahoot.it to participate in the quiz. So this is for participants. For the teacher or the presenter, you can go to Kahoot.com. You log into your account. So I am logged in now to my account, and then you have the option to create a quiz. So once you press create a quiz, so you have different templates, but generally we tend to use the here, so new Kahoot, okay, without using any templates. So you have this screen here, and in this screen we have to start setting up the Kahoot or the quiz itself. Then we can add the different questions. So here we go to settings. Okay, we can, for example, here type a title, so like test quiz, for example, type a description. Okay, choose different options like a cover image. Here, visibility, it can be visible to everyone or only to you. If it's visible to everyone, people can look for it and find it on the web. Okay, and then once you are done with these settings, here you can actually choose the question type. So here it's set to quiz, but as you can see, there are different other options as well. You can set it to a poll or for example, to a true or false question, etc. Here you can adjust the time limit. Okay, so exactly how many seconds do you give for this particular question. Here as well, you can, start just typing the question here. Here you can either put an image, okay, or a YouTube link to a video, okay, and then here you can add the different answers. For example, here you can add answer 1, and then if it's the right answer, you just tick here to specify this is the right answer, okay. Sometimes you can choose 2 different correct answers. So if the participant chooses either of these answers, then the answer will be correct. So once you're done with this question, you can of course add a second question, okay, and then at the end you can always put done here, and then you have your quiz completed.
All right, so we now move on to the tips for effective quizzes. While the exact format and implementation of quizzes may vary, and we all use different kind of formats for our quizzes, there are few principles that have been associated with better results. So for the quiz to be effective, they should be perceived as non-threatening, worthwhile, and low stakes. So while quizzes with open-ended questions are traditionally thought to lead to better learning than those with multiple choice questions, this may not necessarily be the case in medical education. Ideally, the quizzes should match the question format of the summative assessment. And finally, although testing alone can be effective at improving retention, but explanatory feedback is really important for enhancing learning even further. And that's why also in using quizzes like with Kahoot, it's also important to give the students explanatory feedback after showing them the right answer. While we've seen pros and cons of new tools of learning in the previous presentation, we'll now develop here the advantages of online quizzes over traditional quizzes. So the benefits of formative assessment can be seen whether quizzes are online or on paper, but there are advantages of online quizzes over the traditional paper one. So first thing, learners do not need to gather at the same location and time, since the online assessments can be completed at a distance and at their discretion. And this is something really helpful nowadays with the pandemic. Second, the time and effort put into manual grading is unnecessary, as the online quizzes can be scored electronically, and that is very practical for teachers and time effective. And finally, the rapid scoring allows learners to receive immediate feedback on their performance, which is really good. So we can also decrease the period of their anxiety waiting for their exams results, as for example. However, of course, there is also some bad sides. So online quizzes requires good internet connection and access to IT devices, and not everyone can afford to have IT devices yet, and some might not be comfortable with IT. And also, it may require some training from the teacher to know how to set the quiz and to insert the questions. So again, we invite you to experience how we can use quizzes for effective teaching and for learning while having fun. And therefore, we encourage you to be present for our 2 quizzes that will happen on the 10th of March and the 30th of March on the WPA program. Thank you very much for listening, and hope to see you on the 10th and the 13th of March as participants for our interactive sessions.
Thank you very much for your attention.